Good morning. It's a Monday. I usually do this stuff on Saturday and Sunday, but we have the Moringa oleifera PKM1 harvest. This is a little bit earlier than last year, but it's been so bloody hot that the drumsticks, the pods have been drying up pretty quickly. Now here's a tree right here in the backyard, and I've got them all over the place, all in the yard and such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some out of the front yard. I've been selling the seeds on eBay, and I just put the ad up again recently, because when I run out I take the ad down, and they've been selling like hotcakes. And so I've got to fill a bunch of orders today. And then over here, you can see the this is even these pods for the new guy. They're ready to go. So I'm not going to harvest all of them on this video, but I am going to harvest a bunch of them from the front over here, because lately the wind has been blowing quite a bit and it knocked a bunch of them down. But I wanted to make an observation with you. In the world of project management, there's a concept called Agile, and one of the 3 pillars of it is transparency. In other words, being honest. And the other one is inspection, and you got to be transparent, inspect, and adapt. Now, look at all of these here. These are all, remember when I cut it to 5 feet? About right here is where the 5 feet is. But if you look over here, there's not a tremendous amount of pods above the 5 feet mark. There are some, but they're pretty much from stuff that grew from 5 feet. But, well, there is quite a few. But more than ever, there's the stuff that's grown for 5 feet and below. And I've noticed that in the back with the acerola cherries, is that things tend to flower and grow off of the older material. So here, there's like very, very little pods in the upper zone. So what I might decide to do this coming August is to not cut at 5 feet, or in September I should say, and see if it can flower and get more pods for the winter. But I got a lot of pods here to harvest today, and so what I'm going to do is just get my garden bin, and I'll harvest some with the head-mounted thing, just so that you get the feeling of the harvest and what's to happen. So basically, I just take it and twist it, and I'm just throwing it, just to make it real quick, is to just throw it, twist them, and if I was smart, I would just put it right underneath it, so in case the seeds fall. Some of these are kind of dinky, but right now is not the time to be selecting them. It's just the time to harvest. And there's really nothing to it. There's just bending it. See how fast we can go with this. And I have another theory too that I wanted to tell you about. Is that I believe that if you grow the plant that has a lot of clay in it, it has more nutrients for the, because what you want are seeds that are nice and dark and big. So, you know, you got a lot of pods, but they really have viable seeds. That's really what it gets down to. Now here's a nice one, nice big fat one. Let's take a peek. Yeah, this is what you want to see right here. See how dark these seeds are here? Those are perfect. That's what I like to sell in my bags. So and I believe, because I harvested some of the backyard and they weren't anywhere near as nice and dark. And that's because in the backyard, that one I showed you that had just a few minutes ago, it has a lot of, some of these that are still green, I'll leave them on. We'll end up doing like a second pass. But the ones that were growing in the raised bed potting soil, they have nowhere near the same amount of clay nutrients. So the resulting seeds aren't as dark. So I prefer the ones out the front here. Whoops. So let's do a quick check on this baby. Yeah, see, these are dark. This is what I'm looking for. And some of these are still green, so we won't touch those yet. So that's another thing. You say, well, you know, like with tomatoes, they have indeterminate and determinate. Well, these are primarily determinate in that, well, you can harvest them here and there as you go. But for the most part, as you see right here, most of these are all ready to go at the end of July into August. Last year we were into late August and September before I harvested them, because either I was being lazy or it wasn't quite so hot last year. I remember we had a lot of rain in May. We had it seemed like 4 weeks in a row where it rained twice a week. And okay, well, that happens pretty quickly, doesn't it? No, these are too green to harvest right here. And that's good because I don't really have, I can only process them so quickly. But as you see, if you don't harvest them right away, they start to open, just like, you know, and then they'll sprinkle on the ground and they'll blow around. That's how come I got some of the, some that blew across the yard, the volunteers. But I need every seed because when I run out, people don't like that. Okay, so we just harvested all of those from the front yard. Well, not all of them from the front yard, but I mean all of these that are in the container in the front yard. So we got a setup here. I want to show you how I go about getting the seeds out of there. And here's this it's the best 10-11 bucks I ever spent at the hardware store. And then here's what I do is I'm going to take these, get the seeds to go in there, and then I'll throw the chaff here. And then later on, I will break it up and put it into as mulch around the yard. And it's pretty cool. It's like balsa wood. But you'll see in a second what I do here. And I'll end up taking the seeds, and then after I get the seeds, I put them in the refrigerator to make them, to stratify them, to make it look like it's, make them believe that it's gone through a winter. So that way when people get the seeds, there's a high likelihood that they will. So here's what I do. I take it and I just press. It's like a triangle, and there's no need to pick them up. They just drop. And of course, you know, you can clean that out later. These in the front, because they're growing in clay, are all viable. Look at how dark those are. I would say that the darker the better. Think of them as a big chubby hazelnut. You know, that's about the right size. But look at that. That's pretty cool. And like I said, do not be a knucklehead. Do not peel them. I had one idiot, and you know who you are, who peeled them, and then he came back and said they looked like they were old seeds. Well, guess what? You know, the seeds dry out. You take a bag of beans or a bag of anything, and they're dry, then you soak them for a little bit. These are beans. And then you put them in the water and put them in the ground in moist soil, water them in the morning, and then in the evening I usually put, like, if I'm planting them, I put a some kind of water permeable material over them so that the water will go through and there'll be a little bit of light. But you know, these will all get sorted before I send them to people. So what I typically do is they make sure that they're dark enough. See how incredibly dark these babies are? And then I give them a pinch to see if they pop, if there's air inside. And this one's like perfect because I press on it with a certain amount of pressure just to see if it will pop, and if it doesn't, then it goes into the for sale bin. But all of these are just, you know, this is just getting them out of the pots. There is a step, of course, that involves the quality assurance. All right, these are what were harvested. You saw me harvest those in the backyard. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the process. This is what it's going into. And as you can see there, these are for 14 grams. I typically give people more than that. So what we're doing, I wanted to show you what I do. Now, here's like a bin for the not ready for prime time. These are the ones I have 2 orders to fill today. So what I do is I just come in here and grab a handful of seeds. And these are really good looking seeds. Oops. So this is the good bin. This is the not so. This is for definitely throwing the bushes, not ready for prime time. And these I'll plant around the yard. They're plenty full, but they just don't look quite right because they have, you know, some like white on them. I like them to be all dark, but if I press on it, it doesn't collapse. So that's key. So this is a good one, and that's a good one. I press it. It's like a little bit bigger than a filbert. I think it's a Hilbert nut. They grow them up in Oregon. And so I press on it, so that's perfectly good. And I quickly go through them because these are from the front yard where they were grown with clay. And gosh, just about all of these are just great. And I sell them by weight. Now see, here's one it presses. I'm pressing on it, but it's kind of whitish. So I'll plant those over into the Palo Verdes. But if it's dark and I can press on it and it doesn't collapse, then it's good. Just about all of these are really good. I really love the the moringa that are growing in the front yard. Now, what I sell are viable seeds. Now, some of them are a little smaller than others, but if I press on them and they're hard and they don't collapse, I mean, it might be smaller than the other ones. You see, this one's a little dinky. That's definitely for the. It's definitely for the scrap. Throw that in the bushes. And here's one. It's kind of small. We'll put that one there too. All right. So I'm thinking that might be about a ½ ounce. So now what I do is I tear out, so I make it go to 0. Alright, so it's at 0 now. And then I just pour these babies in there. And as you can see, it's 0.6 of an ounce. I usually look at it for grams. And when I'm feeling charitable, I sell 14 grams for the price that fluctuates. But I do tend to like to be generous so that people can have, they don't complain about 1 or 2 not happening, germinating. So I quite often give a little bit more. In this case today I'm being generous, although it may change. Oop. So I'm up to 20 grams. Okay, so take that off. Then I get my bag. Put those babies in there. And depending upon how they're ordered, some people buy a lot of them and I send it to them like priority mail, but for the most part it's just shipped regular first-class mail. It has to fit. It has to be something that's pliable, and it has to be something that is less than 3/4 of an inch high. That's why I like to lay it flat. Now, without saying where this is going, I will go ahead and stick that in there sideways like that. I have my packing slip and my discount card for people coming to surfviewhealth.com. And boom, boom, boom. So that's the complete process from harvest to selling. And of course you can go on to eBay and look for Surfview and then Moringa, or you can just go to surfviewhealth.com. Fun event. I'm real happy with the results of all of these. These are really good looking seeds, and I got a lot more in the front yet still to harvest. So, but I do have a limit to them. So once I sell out, I sell out. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next show.